How we doing, everybody, and welcome to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. Today, joined on this Tuesday, a great Tuesday in the great state of Wisconsin, by Austin and Rogan. Everybody's here today. First, jumping to Austin. How we doing on this Tuesday? Starting to get towards the camel's back, right?
It's a fine Taco Tuesday today, Trage. Didn't have tacos today. Didn't have tacos, a little disappointing. But even though it is technically Taco Tuesday, LeBron once said it, Taco Tuesday. There's a video of him saying it somewhere. But besides that, warm weather per usual. It's a nice day out and ready to talk about some Wisconsin sports.
All I want to talk about is how UWL was the WIAC 2023-2024 champs. That's what I'm seeing right now here on my screen.
Gosh dang right they are,
from Austin. He's telling me we are champs. So
got this shirt. Got this shirt at the football banquet. They handed them out here. You had to go an extra size higher than last year. I don't know what that's saying. Maybe gained a few pounds. I don't know.
New
but
muscle. It's all muscle.
It fits
dude.
correct. It fits correctly. So it's all
it's all muscle. I mean, you're just gaining muscle mass. That's what happens. I mean, you're just getting bulky. That's what's going on down there at UWL. So, I mean, we've seen the offensive line. They're big. So, Rogan, looking at you, how you doing on this Tuesday?
We're doing good, Trades. We're back, baby. We're back. I see Austin's repping that championship shirt. Austin, when's the ring coming in?
I don't know when the ring's coming in. We ordered it. I thought we would get it at the banquet. Never came. So hopefully at some time I get my ring and I will be flexing it on the podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're doing good, Trades. We're doing good. Back to Austin with that exercise shirt. I've seen him lately. He's kind of turning in. You guys know that Pritchard from the Ravens, fullback? That's going to be Austin in a couple of years. I'm telling you, boys. He's getting jacked.
Yeah, I'm going to be in the NFL, actually.
Him and Hunter Lupke are going to be the only two fullbacks in the NFL. We're going to have.
I'm actually trying to go for a Ray Lewis type of look,
and he's going to give us some. You're getting there. You're right on the verge. Right on the verge. I think if you had that little bit more anger to you, we talked about that, how you don't want to get into a fist fight. We talked about Ray Lewis. He wasn't afraid of getting a knife fight. So anyways, getting on from there, we're going to get off of Ray Lewis. We're going to get into some sports today. We got a lot to talk about. I want to talk about the Bucks right away. Bucks, I mean, would it be a stretch to say that the Bucks have I don't know what the Bucks have been doing as of late here. Doc Rivers is what, now 1-3 in his first 4 games there in Milwaukee. This Bucks team is struggling mightily, and it's on the opposite end of the court, the opposite end of what we've talked about in the past here. We talked about their defense being the struggle. As of late, it's been more offensively. The Bucks have had some struggles here. So I'm going to jump to Austin right away. Austin, I mean, coming off, we talked about the Dallas game a little bit, but I want to focus more on that game against the Utah Jazz. 123-108, the Bucks lost that one. I mean, what the heck is going on with the Bucks on the offensive end of the court right now?
Yeah, looking at this game, I'm looking at the fourth quarter, Trage. They outscored us 40-13 in crunch time when we need to score the points the most. I feel like fourth quarter is when you always have to score the most points, obviously, because that's the most important quarter. That's where everything ends. There, we scored 13 points there compared to Utah's 40. We kept a pretty decent team to 123 points, but this team's not as good, I feel like, as they used to be. They got Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton, but a lot of the other guys on their team I haven't really heard of. They used to have Donovan Mitchell, who kind of was really, really good for them, but now they don't. That's who they got for Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen. And when you look at their team, it's the bench again, Trage. And you look at the Jazz bench. Kessler had 13. Jordan Clarkson, pretty good player, had 12 points there. And then George had 19 points for their bench. That's just their bench there. Our bench, AJ Green with 10 points. That's about it. Now, Chris Middleton didn't play. Brook Lopez, pretty sure he's injured, so he didn't play. But, I mean, when you look at our starters, Jay Crowder, we thought he's a good defensive player, but not really producing. On the offensive side, he shot 2 for 7 from three-point range, and those were all of the baskets he made. He had 6 points. Beasley, I thought, did pretty good, 16 points. Damian Lillard, I think this is going to be a lot of reoccurring stuff here. When we see Damian Lillard don't score at least 20 points, Or here's what I'm going to say. If Lillard doesn't score at least 20 points with Giannis scoring at least 30 points, I'm probably going to say that we're going to lose that game. And that's because Lillard, for one, doesn't play as much defense as Drew Holiday did. Drew Holiday didn't score, but I feel like he provided a lot more on the defensive end, so he didn't have to score as much. Here, I don't think Lillard plays as much defense. So if he doesn't play defense, you're going to have to score a lot more than 12, especially 12 points. And his average is a lot more than that. He's averaging 24.9 points per game. So I don't know exactly what happened. I didn't watch the game because it's on Bally Sports, and I'm not going to pay for that. But he shot six. He only shot the ball, or no, he shot the ball 18 times. He went 1 for 8 from the 3-point line. Not that great, considering how good of a 3-point shooter he is. And we were watching. Me and my buddies were watching the Portland game. That's when Damian returned to Portland there, and that was a while back. And they ended up losing that game. But my buddies made a good point, saying, maybe Damian Lillard looks so good on this. Now he was making like 40. He had like 40 points per game or whatever in Portland. But look at who those Portland teams had on them besides Damian Lillard. C.J. McCollum. Is that about it? Who else is going to shoot the ball for that team? And I'm like, he did have some pretty cold shots, some pretty nice buzzer beaters. But I feel like now we're starting to see him when he doesn't he'll shoot the ball, but he's not the main guy that's going to be shooting the ball every single time because we have Giannis, we have Middleton when he plays. I thought Bobby Portis had a really good game here against the Jazz, 27 points, 7 rebounds. But overall, I think we just got out-toughed today by this Jazz team. You look at some of their starters, Markkanen had 21 points, Sexton had 19, and some dude, Fondacino had 11, Collins had 15. So their starters didn't outplay our starters. It was their bench that outplayed our bench. And Dredge, you and I talked about this, and I'm pretty sure Rogan's chimed in about this a couple times, that this is kind of it was their defense, but now it's the defense and not as much of the defense, but mainly the bench that we are just not providing at all and killing our team.
Yeah, and the most interesting thing you brought up there was looking at Damian Lillard. It isn't a question on if he's a star or not. The guy can play the game of basketball. We know that, and he can score it. But you saw the difference in the teams. Now he's on a different team. He's got to play a different style of basketball. He's got stars along with him. He's got to play that different style, kind of complementing their games too. We knew it would take a little while to get used to. It seems like it's taken a little longer than it should have. That's a big question mark there. I'm just looking at the bench for the Bucks, and I'm asking myself the simple question of, when Adrian Griffin was here, you saw Marjan Beachcamp a little bit. You saw a little bit more out of Andre Jackson Jr. Now Doc Rivers comes in. We saw Marjan for a minute in this one, and I think there's been a couple games since Doc Rivers has showed up where Marjan didn't even get in the game. And I'm looking down the bench there, and even a guy like Andre Jackson Jr., 1 minute in this one. Livingston, 1 minute in this game. And then a guy like Green plays 22, had 10 points, played a little bit better in this one. But I don't, it makes you question bench usage right now too. Why? What is going on with the Bucks right now? Is this an experimental period? Are we going to go through this where we're going to see different combinations of guys? Because we knew Cameron Payne comes off the bench and plays a lot. But Robin Lopez, Brooke wasn't in this game, so that added to those 4 minutes that he had. But Robin Lopez played 4 minutes. Marjan and Livingston, like I said, a minute apiece, along with Jackson Jr. I don't understand right now what the Bucks are leaning. Look at the starters' minutes in this one. We had 40 minutes out of Jay Crowder, 6 points. 6 points in 40 minutes of basketball. You're not going to win many games with a guy who's replacing one of your more used starters in Chris Middleton. Jay Crowder's filling in for him, and he only gives you 6 points. That's a struggle fest right there. So, Rogan, looking at the bench for the Bucks, we've talked about in the past year with the struggle from the bench, but now the guys that we're so used to seeing actually getting valuable minutes off the bench, they're not even playing. Marjan isn't playing anymore. Is any of this making sense to you with what's going on right now?
Yeah, Trage, it's a new coach, new scheme, new everything. He doesn't know the players quite yet, and I think this is going to be, like you said, an experimental time. I could see this being a rough 10 to 15 game stretch for the Bucks, and it's going to be interesting to see where we come out on the other side. And this is just something that when you fire a coach midway through the season, it is going to happen. He wants to figure out who he likes, what his rotations are, and stuff like that. And you kind of see it in these games. These players are playing like especially the bench players. One game Bobby Portis is playing 25 minutes, and the next game he's playing 17. And like you said with that Green kid, or yeah, is it the Green
Yep,
guy?
Green. Yep.
He goes from playing 5 minutes one game to 22, 24 minutes the next game. So this is going to be an interesting next couple, I'd say 10 to 15 games, how Doc Rivers figures out this rotation. But it's interesting because if you look at the standings right now, the standings are close. So if they start struggling here, you could really see the Bucks fall, and then they're going to have to climb themselves out of a maybe 5 or 6 seed. So we'll see what happens.
Exactly the point there. Can the Bucks afford to go through a 10 to 15 game stretch right now where they lose games like this, 123 to 108? I mean, that in itself, you can't afford to lose to teams like the Utah Jazz. Now, the Jazz it's not like they're a poverty franchise. It's not like they're 4-20 or 4 and whatever the Detroit Pistons are on the season right now. But this is a game you have to have. And running through this point of the season here, it seems like this is a point where the Bucks need to be able to put some kind of run together before the All-Star break. You need to have that. And now look at the 76ers. Breaking news out of yesterday, Joel Embiid is going to be out for a majority of the season now with that knee surgery. So it really makes you question if the Bucks continue to falter here. They're going to be right there with the 76ers, whether Embiid comes back or not. 76ers are still going to hang around there with the Bucks, and the Bucks are slowly falling farther and farther away from the Celtics here. How long does it take for Doc Rivers to figure this one out? And do the Bucks do they pursue some trades here before? I mean, that's my big question. I want to ask you guys. I mean, right now with the Bucks, where they're at, are you pursuing any guys at the trade deadline? Because like you said, Rogan, I mean, coming out of the backside of this, you don't know where the Bucks are going to be. They could be 33-33 at the end of this little slide here, or they could be sitting at 50-17, whatever they want to say. They could go on a heater right now and win the rest of these games out. I mean, it's two ways the Bucks can fold it, right? Or they can stay even the rest of the way. But are you pursuing big name guys where you got to unload some of your rookies, prospects, whatever you want to call them here, on the bench for the Bucks?
You have to. You have to. This team, like we were kind of talking about the Brewers yesterday, Milwaukee's a small market team. So when you get a guy like Giannis, you have to go all in. So I was actually just looking around today, and I heard that they're talking to the Mavericks about a Bobby Portis for Grant Williams trade right now, that both those teams are interested in possibly doing a swap there, which I'm not very – Grant Williams is a good player and a really good defender, but he's not that guard defender that I think we really need. Now, would I love to have him? 1,000%. And could I see him definitely helping this team? Yes, but Bobby Portis has been really good for us coming off that bench, so that worries me. But, yeah, I think you have to. You have to unload some of these young players, especially if they're not going to be playing under this new coach, because this team kind of reminds me a little bit of that championship team from a couple years ago. All season long, that team kind of struggled, and we were like, that was the first time the Bucks had really struggled in the regular season. Before, they had done really well and then sucked in the playoffs. But I think this team is one or two good defensive players away from definitely being able to make a run at a championship. And now you see a team with Joel Embiid hurt. Like, that's another team that the Bucks would have had to really worry about. And now they could be sliding down the rankings here with Embiid out. So I think you have to go all in, because Dame's 30, Giannis is 29, Dame's 32 or something like that. But you have to keep Giannis happy. I hate to say it, but he runs the team. He's the owner. He's the coach. Yep. He's the general manager. He's everything. So, yeah, you have to.
I mean, to me, the only untouchables in Milwaukee right now in a trade would be Giannis, Damian Lillard, probably Middleton, because you got to keep him there to keep Giannis happy, and then I would say Bobby Portis. Otherwise, anybody else in a trade, I mean, I like Brook Lopez, but I think he's getting old. So like to me, I would make him available. I get it might ruin team chemistry. I 100% agree with that. And he's a good defender. I think he's still a good old school defender at the rim. I just look at his production on the offensive side of the basketball, and it's hit or miss. And he's not really. I mean, the big nickname was Splash Mountain. Like Austin would say, how many times have we seen him splash it lately? I mean, that's the big thing with Brooks. So I just look at it and I say, those are my untouchables. If I am the Bucks organization, those are my untouchables. And everybody else, if somebody, I mean, Giannis would have to understand if they got a good turnaround for Brook Lopez, the Bucks would move on from him. Because I think with, the age of the Bucks is sometimes their fault too. I mean, we talk about experience being a good thing. At the same time, it can be a fault. You watch a lot of these really young teams like the Pacers. I mean, the Pacers have the Bucks number, but the Pacers can run circles around the Bucks. Look at how many young guys they have on that team who run circles around this Bucks team. I mean, youth does help. And the Bucks don't have any youth. They're an old, experienced team, and that has its perks and it also has its faults. So I would be okay with them moving on from some of these bigger name guys to either get younger and find guys who are developing currently this year. And I mean, still able to get out there on the NBA floor and be ready to rock and roll. But, developing players right now, anything like that, because we look at the guys in this Bucks organization as of right now. I mean, Camp, is he the guy? Is he going to be a guy in this Bucks organization? I don't know. I really don't have that answer because in the minutes he does get, we don't see crazy scoring out of Marjan. We see it in the summer league. We see it when they're coming into the season where Marjan's going off. But when he gets into the regular season, I don't think he's that big of a factor for this Bucks team. And if he was, wouldn't you think that Adrian Griffin or Doc would have him out there more often? I would think so. And I mean, guys like Green, now that Doc's in the house, he's getting him more playing time. But with Adrian Griffin, we didn't see much out of Green there. Looking at guys like Livingston, Andre Jackson Jr., the book's out on him. He's mainly a defender. He's not much of a scorer. So I would not be opposed. I know the Bucks are in the, like you said, they got to win it now because you got guys like Dame and Giannis both in house. But I'm looking at both sides of it too. And like we talked about with the Brewers, you got to have the balance. You got to be able to replace at some point here some of your stars. And I think, moving on from the likes of Jay Crowder and Brook Lopez, that would, and I really think Beasley could walk out the door and I would forget about him. So, I mean, guys like those could be expendable pieces if you are the Bucks. I mean, that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, the Bucks, if you want to talk. I was going to say, like you were saying, and I've said multiple times, the Bucks have a lot of older guys. And I'll talk about a little bit of trade stuff said in before. I'm surprised the Bucks haven't made a trade yet. And maybe they're still trying to make things work, especially with Doc Rivers being a new coach here. But even when Adrian Griffin was at the helm, he used a little bit more of the bench guys like Beauchamp and whatever. But they still weren't doing a whole lot for our team. They would add extra minutes, and they're a little bit younger guys, but they weren't really doing a whole lot still. And it's shocking that we haven't really heard any rumblings of trades until now about Bobby Portis and Grant Williams, which Bobby, as of now, is starting for our team because Brook Lopez is hurt. So getting rid of him would probably not be good unless you want to move Giannis to center, but I don't really know. Considering Bobby just put up 27 points, do you want to trade him away for Grant Williams, who he's good, but what is he? I don't really know what his stats look like now. I know last time he played he was on the Celtics for quite a little bit there. I know he was a heck of a college player, but is he able to score as much as we need him to as well? He has good defense, but we also need him to score. Bobby, at least he's scoring 27 in this game with 36 minutes. Jay Crowder played 40 minutes and scored 6 points. So, I mean, Jay Crowder also not looking very impressive, and we thought he was a pretty big pickup at the end of last year. He is coming off an injury, but still produce a little bit for our team, except for 6 points. And I don't know. Like I was just saying, not who I thought we would be giving up to trade. I would be thinking maybe some of the younger guys, maybe Pat Connaughton, considering he hasn't really done squat for our team. And he's kind of a point guard that you would be willing to give up. But who's going to want to take him? Because I'm sure these teams are looking at stats too, and they see Pat Connaughton isn't doing a whole lot for the Bucks. What's he going to do for our team if we trade away one of our better defensive perimeter players? We'd have to give him something else, obviously. But we definitely need youth on our team. I think that is really, really important. You look at the guys that we've drafted in the past few years. Beauchamp is one of them. Jackson Jr. I don't know Jackson Jr. if we drafted him or not. I think we got him in free agency or something. Not entirely sure there. But Beauchamp seems like the only one that we've actually drafted, and that's on our team. You look at some of the other guys that get drafted in the first round, and they're not starting, but they're young and they're really good. Beauchamp, maybe he hasn't had the chance to play a whole lot. We've seen him score pretty good in some games, but Doc Rivers doesn't seem like he's going to be utilizing him anytime soon. And maybe that's just something Doc Rivers wants to do, is just play the starters more, which it looks like he is doing. Even Beasley had 30 minutes. He scored 16 points. So maybe that has something to do with Beasley being able to score a little bit more as he's playing more. Kind of like the Connor Season conversation we were having yesterday. Connor Season barely plays, and that's why he doesn't score a whole lot. If he played more, he'd have better stats. Beasley plays a little bit more, 16 points. We had seen Beasley play sometimes, and he hasn't scored a whole lot, so that's where it kind of kicks you back. And you're like, well, shoot. But overall, we need to figure something out, because Doc Rivers being a new coach, thinking that him coming in would fix our team. Right now, he's 1-3 as a coach, and the teams that he's played are pretty tough. Utah Jazz, they're 16-7 at home, so decent home team there, but 25-26 overall, not the best. Right now, Bucks are not a good away team. 12-12 away is not very good if you want to be one of the top teams in the country here. And when you look at when it comes to playoff time, at least you're going to play at least 2 games away. So you got to win at least one of them if you're going to want to have the chance to win not the finals, but the finals, but your series there. And right now the Bucks are 12-12, 500. So they're either going to win one, win 2, or win all, or lose both of them. And I don't know. The Bucks are just not an impressive team away, and I think that's what's ultimately going to hurt them in the end if we do make a deep run, or not even a deep run, but if we make the playoffs, which we probably will. That's probably what's going to hurt them, is their ability to play away from the Pfizer. They haven't looked very impressive. I think they still have a few more games. Let me just take a look at their schedule if I can. I think they still have a few more games left on this road trip out in the West here. They play the Suns, which good luck there, Bucks, because Suns are pretty good right now. They got KD, D-Book, and Beal. I'm pretty sure all 3 of them are playing. Not entirely sure. The Suns will get into that game, but tomorrow, or they play tomorrow, right? Yeah. So we'll get into that, but they haven't looked very impressive either. So hopefully this is a game that we're able to win and be like, oh, the Bucks are still the Bucks. They're still pretty good. But then they also play the Timberwolves at home. So one more game left in the West, then the Timberwolves, and that'll be a real challenge there. We got some pretty tough games coming up, Trage. And it'll be interesting to see how this Bucks team is able to kind of come back. But that's done. I've talked enough, Rogan. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say quick, Austin, you were saying they have some tough games. They have the hardest remaining schedule of the entire NBA these last.
That's fantastic. That's just what I wanted to hear.
Games, so
that's what I wanted to hear right there. And I'm going to piggyback off that. I looked up the Bucks draft picks from the past. I mean, this list goes all the way back to 1900s and all that jazz. But you look at the Bucks draft picks over the past, I could say, since 2013. You look at the Bucks draft picks and you tell me who's good on that list. I can give you Malcolm Brogdon and Dante DiVincenzo. We don't know about Bieshkamp yet, so I can't 100% say Bieshkamp was a good pick. Chris Livingston is still up in the air as of right now. But you look at the rest of these picks. I mean, we had Thon Maker, DJ Wilson out of Michigan there, Jabari Parker from Duke, Norman Powell from, I think he came from University of Cal. And then, I mean, look at Patrick McCaw. the guys that the Bucks are drafting, we talk about, not having guys to trade there on the bench. This is a big part of that too. Guys who come into this organization through the draft that the Bucks can develop. I'm looking at this list. Jordan Nora from Louisville. That's the last guy who I thought potentially was a decent crop for the Bucks. I mean, Isaiah Todd he was from G League Ignite. I don't even know who Isaiah Todd is. I'm gonna be honest with you. They got him in the first or the second round, 31st pick. Some guy named Isaiah Todd. I don't know. Rogan, you know who Isaiah Todd is? Never heard of the guy.
Sounds like my cousin.
Yeah. Your cousin currently, I don't know where he is. He's MIA. He's MIA from the Bucks. He's MIA from the Bucks. So, I mean, I'm just looking at the draft picks you can go back to, Dante DiVincenzo, sucked to see him leave Milwaukee, but 2019 forward, you had Kevin Porter Jr., Jordan Nora, RJ Hampton, Isaiah Todd, Marjan, and Chris Livingston. Those guys, the Bucks drafting right now is subpar, if you ask me. Really subpar going all the way back.
Where are they picking in those drafts? Because NBA drafts are so tough. If you don't have a top 10,
first
15
or second
pick,
round, yeah. That's a tough part. That's a tough part,
like,
too.
If you don't have a top 10 pick, none of the guys after really the top 15 ever really pan out to be like Steph Curry or something like that. Usually those guys are top 5 and the rest are going to be role players. So that it is hard in the NBA with drafts because there's just –
I want to see 2014 who went in that draft because the Bucks had the second pick and we got Jabari Parker. And then in the 2015 draft with the 17th pick, we took Rashad Vaughn from the University of Nevada. First off, don't pick a guy out of Nevada unless if it was those two brothers. Can't think of them now. One of them plays for the Miami Heat. I can't remember those two guys now. They were brothers. They were twins. Looked exactly, pretty darn identical.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't put a name to the face. I know Martin. Is it Martin or Caleb Martin? And
yep, the Martin twins. Yep. Those are two guys. And then you look at 2016 right after that. They had 3 years in a row with top 17 picks. They picked Thon Maker, and at the moment, Thon Maker looked like he was going to be this freak athlete, but we saw what happened to Thon Maker. And then year after that, they had 2 first-round picks at the number 17 spot between 2017 and 18. They took DJ Wilson, which Wilson looked like a good shooter coming out of Michigan, but if you did your homework on him, you didn't think he was going to develop into much more than what he was. And Dante DiVincenzo, I'll give him that one. Dante DiVincenzo turned out to be a very good player in the NBA, and I wish the Bucks would have held on to him. But other than that, yes, they got lower in the draft because they started to actually play well, and that was good to see. They put together a roster that was good. But now you look at some of these last picks here, and I know you're lower in the draft, at the end of it, towards the end of the first round or whatever, but the prospects that they're bringing in, I don't see the development level or what they're shooting for when they bring them in. That's kind of where I'm at. You can go deep into the NFL draft and find a guy, right? You can find a guy that you can develop. You can do in the MLB draft too. Is it the Bucks development group? Their group that's, brought in to develop these guys and fine tool their skills and everything like that. Is it a problem in there with some of these guys? Or is it just straight up drafting? Are these guys jumping on the first name they see and they're not really doing their homework on guy? I would have to go through the draft and see who went after in the picks to see if it made sense or if it didn't make sense. But that's just looking at the draft picks where they had high draft picks, kind of interesting who they decided to take.
Yeah, no doubt they're trades. And I'm just kind of looking at the draft from pretty much 2010 on. And, between 2012 and 2017, they drafted some pretty good players in Dante and Patrick McCaw ended up being a decent player. Malcolm Brogdon was a great player.
Yep.
Norman Powell is a really good player for the Clippers now. Jabari, that sucked how that ended up, but you couldn't really blame the Bucks for taking him, and injuries just ruined his career.
Yep.
He was kind of on the up and up there, and then obviously Giannis in 2013. But if I look at 2017 and on, you look at these players, and I think it's more of just a fact that the Bucks have been good since about 2018. So these young guys just don't have a chance to play for the Bucks. And then we've traded away these guys that we drafted in order to go get a Damian Lillard, to go get a Brook Lopez and those types of guys. So I think it's kind of a mix of just not having the minutes available for these young guys that we are drafting to get better.
Yeah. And, it makes it hard. There's got to be talent at the end of these drafts because they got Malcolm Brogdon there in the second round with a 36 pick. Because Malcolm Brogdon, pretty good college player, really good defender, good shooter, came into the NBA and, basically just flipped the script right there and did the same thing in the NBA. So, there's guys in there. It just interesting. You'd have to look at the whole draft and see who went undrafted and ended up signing with the team and sticking with them. Who knows? So, definitely though, interesting to see some of the Bucks picks in the past year. But with that, I want to move on here. Talk about your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell, find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. Also, a couple other of our sponsors, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. And our newest sponsor, Sports and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. If you're in need of any physical therapy, that's the guy to go check out there in Greenwood, Wisconsin. Give them a call. They're at Sport and Spine Clinic, and they will get you right and on your way. So with that, moving on here, I want to get into my Brewer question of the day. So ask the question out there to everybody, and then I wanted to get our reaction for it. So talked about it a little bit yesterday. We really didn't dive into it. Burns got traded. Now the Brewers are talking about Williams and Willy Adames both on the trade block. I wanted to know, what the heck are people thinking right now about this Brewer organization? So I'm going to jump to Rogan first. You're hearing this news. You heard about Burns. We talked about that yesterday. Now we hear Willy Adames is on the trade block. Okay, but now we hear our all-star closer also on the trade block. What the heck is going on? What is your reactions to hearing something like that?
Yeah, I'm not against Adames being on the trade block, especially with us getting that Ortiz kid from Baltimore. I think he has a chance to be a good player. He just needs time. So, and he's a good shortstop. So I wouldn't mind Adames going. The Williams one does not make sense to me because, I understand that we're a small market team, but you do have to pay some guys, especially when they're at the top of their position. You can argue that Devin Williams the last 2 years has been the best closer in baseball. You bring these guys in, you do have to pay a couple of them once in a while. We can't just get rid of every good player the Brewers ever get. They've got to be willing to fork over some money, and I just don't think these owners are, so it's very frustrating.
No, I completely agree. And you take a small market team, but it's like we play even smaller than that. We play smaller than small market. We're in this group, and we're smaller than that. I don't get it sometimes. I really would love to see, what the reasoning is behind some of these moves here and behind not paying some of these guys. So definitely interesting in that aspect. And, to me, losing Devin Williams, it wouldn't be the end of the world because I believe they have guys in the bullpen that could take his spot. But the biggest question of the day is then who takes their spot? You can move Yoel Pompous back to the closer role. That's fine. He did good as a setup man last year. Don't know if he's going to transition 100%, but I think he could. Or Abner Uribe could drop back. But then who's your seventh inning guy now? Then it's a race to get to the closer because you don't have anybody to fill in front of that. So that's definitely something interesting there. Jumping to Austin, hearing the news potentially that these two guys could be on the trade block, what is your reaction to hearing news like that?
Yeah, it makes me question even more now what are we doing with our team? Are we trying to rebuild? Are we trying to win a championship? I don't really know. And honestly, as a Brewer fan, I feel like we've been wanting a championship for the longest time now, and we've been so close. And now, one thing happens, we still made the playoffs last year. Let's not forget that. We still made the playoffs. Then our manager leaves, and now Corbin Burns leaves, and now these guys are on the trade block. It's like our organization is just taking a dip right now. And it's going to be interesting to see. I feel like I've said this how many times. It's going to be interesting to see what we do next year because if we get rid of some of these guys, it depends on what we get in return, honestly. And if we're able to get the help that we think we're going to get from the Corbin Burns trade, if those two rookies are able to do what we think they're going to do, then hopefully everything plans out. But we don't have David. It was David Stearns was our last GM, right? Yeah, we don't have him anymore. That somehow was able to put together that 2018 team through all of the acquisitions he's made and all the trades that he's made before. It kind of led up to that 2018 team that we were able to get Christian Yelich, Lorenzo Cain, and then even Mike Moustakas and Curtis Granderson were on those teams that we somehow got later in the year before the trade deadline. Seems like he somehow had a plan or it just worked out. Here it's kind of like we're just throwing stuff out on the table because we either don't believe in our guys or we think that we want to get a younger team. We've seen teams that have been younger. You look at Miami Marlins, that team is usually a really young team. And what have they been able to do? Not jack squat. They haven't been able to do anything. They barely are able to win. I can't remember the last time they've actually, probably since they were the Florida Marlins, is the last time that they actually made the playoffs. So you look at some young teams. There are teams like the Diamondbacks that made the World Series. And then it's like, well, maybe a young team isn't so bad. I think that young team was just really, really good. With us trying to make these acquisitions, trading people away, and we know how the Brewers trade. We know how the Brewers trade. They're going to trade away our guys and get some young prospects that haven't really proven themselves except for maybe AA, AAA, and then we're supposed to just think that we're able to play these guys almost right away in the MLB, and that's just not the case. We don't really be trading for guys that have been able to play in the MLB except for William Contreras. He's kind of like the only guy, it seems like, and Rhys Hoskins that we were able to pick up there. Not really trade, but it's interesting that we're just kind of putting these guys out on the block and hoping that we get something, or maybe trying to look to get younger. But then it's not looking like a team that wants to go win a championship. It's looking like a rebuilding year. And then it makes me question, why do we pick up Rhys Hoskins for 1 year, and when we might as well just pick some guy up in the draft that can play first base maybe a little bit better or something. It is a little bit questioning.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been able to hang our hat on the pitching staff for years. I mean, you look at the pitching staff for the Brewers since 2018, and that's what the Brewers have hung their hat on. Now that pitching staff's gone. Burns gone. Woodruff gone. You have Freddie back. But other than that, I mean, through the years, you've relied on guys like Gio Gonzalez or Ulus Chassin for that 2018 season. You've relied on a lot of guys to come in there and fill spots. They're all gone. Even a guy like Adrian Hauser, one of those guys who was kind of a backbone at the back end of that rotation, he's gone now. So you have to figure out the pitching staff again for this Brewers team. It doesn't really make sense where they're at and what they're trying to do with this team at the end of the day. That is the big question mark, is what the Brewers are right now to people. Are they going for a championship? 2018, every year that I've watched the Brewers since 2018, I've thought to myself, is 2018 going to be the one time we had a shot? Is that going to be the next time we had a shot? It sucks to say, but this Brewer organization, we are the farm system for the rest of the MLB. That's how it is. We get guys fine-tuned. We get them ready to rock and roll. They start to produce at the major league level. They leave. They go somewhere else. They produce. That's Brewer baseball in a nutshell right there. That's the sucky part about being a Brewer fan, is at the end of the day, we have to watch the stars walk out the door because we can't afford to pay them. Now, Willy Adames, that's a trade I make. And a lot of people reacted to the post today, and they said we would be okay with losing Willie in the field. We'd be okay with losing Willie at the plate. We would not be okay with losing Willy Adames in the clubhouse. I could see that one. Willy Adames in the clubhouse, that's a guy who's hard to replace. He brings the energy. He brings that kind of fuel to a team. I can agree with that one. But at an organizational standpoint, you have guys who kind of Willy Adames is blocking from getting playing time right now. Yes, if he bats for average, I'd be okay with Willy Adames. But as of late, Willy Adames is a 220 hitter. And he's got power for stretches. Other than that, he's a non-factor for me at the plate. So Willy Adames, I think he's replaceable. I don't think Devin Williams is replaceable. I really don't. He is the backbone of that bullpen. You lose Williams and Willie Adames. I have fully accepted the Brewers are not really worried about winning a championship this year. They're worried about, this is going to be a question forever, but what is Mark Ananasio really trying to get out of being the owner for the Brewers? That's a big question I've always had. What is Mark Ananasio's true, what do I want at the end of the day? I get, people can say small market baseball team all day long. I get it. I 100% agree. They're small market. They're not going to be able to afford guys like Bryce Harper or a guy like Manny Machado or even a guy like Shohei Ohtani. I agree with that one, but we can't even afford the subpar guys who are 40 years old now. We can't afford those guys. That's what they tell me. We can't afford the $10 million contract anymore. Rhys Hoskins was the biggest free agent signing the Brewers have ever had. That was $17 million. That's ridiculous that the Brewers can't do more than $17 million in a free agent signing. That's baffling to me. So, I mean, going off of that, does anybody have anything else to add with the Brewers there with Willie? Or with Willie and Williams on the block?
Hopefully they figure it out and we don't make a stupid decision, Trage. That's what it's coming down to.
End of an era. End of an era. No
It
more
truthfully
Stearns,
is.
no more counsel. Players are leaving. Should have appreciated it while we had it, boys.
It really makes you kind of think, like you said, is this the end of an era? Are we walking into another 6-year rebuild? That's what I really want to know. Are the Brewers, and it's hard to say it because with these rookies the Brewers have, they can still hit. I mean, they can still hit. I'm just worried about the starting pitching if they're going to be able to score enough runs to back up the starting pitching for the Brewers right now. So definitely interesting time in the Brewers. We're going to get more into them. We only got a short couple weeks here before spring training starts for the Brewers, and we figure out who the heck is still left. So with that, I want to talk about our sponsor here, Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Stop in and check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Onalaska to get your team the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. With that, though, I got to get to Austin here. I almost forgot about you yesterday, and you had to cut it in at the end. I'm going to get you to today. Austin, give me the fact of the day.
On this day in 1926, the NFL rules that college students are ineligible until college classes graduates. I think that means, let me read this. Let me read this one again because they worded it weird. NFL rules college students are ineligible until. Okay, so pretty much you have to graduate. You had to graduate until you were able to enter into the NFL back in 1926, but I'm pretty sure, obviously, this rule has changed. Now you see sophomores and juniors going into the NFL, which I think is better for the game, but also worse for the college game.
Definitely interesting right there. Is it sophomore you can jump in? I thought you had to be in college for 2 years.
I've seen some. I think it is sophomore year you are able to enter the draft. I've seen some sophomores, I think, but maybe they're considered sophomores, but they entered classes early into the summer or something, possibly. So technically they're sophomore on the field, but maybe a junior in the class.
Is it after your sophomore year, though?
I think so.
Okay. So it's still that 2 years of playing in college football. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. Yeah. I mean, I could see it from both ways. You look at an academic standpoint, you'd rather have guys sit in college for 4 years and get some kind of degree before they jump out of there. But like you said, at the standpoint of the game, you want to get your athletes and your stars into the game in the NFL as fast as you can. So you get them out there as fast as you can. So definitely interesting right there. Fact of the day from Austin. In Wisconsin sports history, Hank Aaron was born yesterday in Wisconsin sports history. So knowing about Hank Aaron, a lot of people, I can't believe people could forget about him. Hammer and Hank Aaron. So born yesterday there in Wisconsin sports history. So with that, I want to move on. Sorry.
Technically a Brave, but a Brewer in our hearts, Trage.
Exactly. I mean, it's a Wisconsin guy. He's our guy. He's about all we got. So let's just keep him, in Wisconsin. So with that, I want to move on here. Get into our sports question of the day. Wisconsin sports question of the day. So Rogan wants to go first. He's got the hands clapping. He's ready. Rogan, what do you got? Wisconsin sports question of the day.
All right, boys. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but according to the bylaws of the Green Bay Packers, Mark Murphy is required to retire next season. So my question there is, do you guys want to see the Packers go in-house with the next CEO or look for someone outside of the organization?
Can somebody outside the organization bring the Packers more money?
I'm not sure.
That would be the only stipulation I would have there. I want more money. But I mean, if you look at what the Packers, I don't like Mark Murphy. I never have liked Mark Murphy. But if you look at what they've done over the past couple years here, that's more on Brian Gutekunst's plate with the drafting of guys and everything like that. But the Packers they recouped fast from losing a guy like Aaron Rodgers, so that's definitely interesting right there. I wouldn't be opposed to going out of house and finding a good football mind to come in there and kind of run the show there in Green Bay.
Yeah, no, Trudge. I think you definitely need some fresh blood in there. I think going outside of the Packers organization would be ideal there, because you look at he's been the CEO for 12 years, and what have the Packers done in the past 12 years? I mean, they haven't made it to a Super Bowl. I don't believe that 2010 team if he's been there 12 years, he wasn't there on that Super Bowl team, at least leading the team as the CEO. So I think you definitely need to bring in some fresh blood and just a new perspective. And Packers fans just want a guy that's going to go all in and only cares about winning the Super Bowl. And I feel like for the last 15 years, the Packers have just been fine with being a 10-6, 11-5 team and not really going over the top. So I think I want a new guy in there that really wants to win it all.
Austin, what do you think?
What does exactly Mark Murphy do for the Packers? It says he's a chief executive officer, but what does exactly a chief executive officer do for a football team? That's my question. Not my question of the day, but question of, are they kind of like a general manager type person, or take care of per player personnel? What is exactly because Mark Murphy's been with the football team for what seems like forever. But I honestly don't really know what the man does. I just know that he's been with the organization. I know his name. I know who he is, but I just assume he kind of just shows up on draft day, starts throwing out picks here, and kind of tells Brian Gutekunst what to do. Don't know if that's true or not, but what exactly does Mark Murphy do is the question.
Think of a CEO of a company. He's the big man. He's the head man. He's the final decision. He's the business side of it, right? You look at the player side of it, that's more Brian Gutekunst. That's the guy
He's the money maker.
He's the money guy. He's the guy who's going to say, well, Brian Gutekunst, you aren't doing a good job, so I'm going to get rid of you now. But he's the head man on the table, right? He's the guy who makes the big money decisions. And, inside of say Lambeau Field, they need to replace bleachers. That's the guy. That's the main guy there who's going to write the check and say, this is what we're doing. He's the business side of it. Whereas from what I understand, he's the business side of it. Whereas Brian Gutekunst is more of the player personnel. This is the guy we need to draft here. This is my best decision for that thing. I mean,
Makes
am I
sense.
wrong, Rogan? I think
no, that sounds about right. Actually, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it's weird with the Packers because the Packers aren't actually owned by anybody. So it's like one of those, if you were the CEO and president on a team that was actually owned by someone, he'd have a little more say. But the Packers are a publicly owned company and team by 400,000 people. So he gets elected by a board of directors that gets elected by all the people that own a share of the Packers. So it's a weird thing. But like Trey was saying, he's pretty much the guy that signs off on everything. So he's not really involved a lot in trades. But if Gutekunst wants to trade anybody, he's got to be like, hey, Mark, here's the trade. Here's what we getting. You have to sign off on this. Draft picks, you got to sign. He's that kind of guy. So, yeah, he doesn't do a lot, but he still is a major part of this team. And in the end, all the decisions that are being made are being approved by him. So,
honestly, hopefully we get someone that knows about Green Bay culture. Not obviously it's someone that's fine if they come out from somewhere random, but someone that knows about Green Bay, not just kind of is some random person, because Green Bay is a special place. It's not like some other random organization that's been out there. Like this team's been out here for like since 1919, man. 1919. That's a long time. Longer than a century. Am I cutting? I feel like I'm cutting in and out. My Wi-Fi is so bad, and that's probably why you guys are laughing. But they're a special place. Special place to me. Special place to you guys. And it'd be a shame if some person comes in here and just ruins the organization from the inside out.
I totally agree with that. I think the Packers do need to find someone that knows the culture, but I wouldn't mind seeing them hire a guy that isn't really involved or know much about the Packers at all, because what culture at this point? We've won 2 Super Bowls in the last 35 years with 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Like, I know there's a Packer culture, but I wouldn't say that the last 30 years we've upkept that culture whatsoever. So I wouldn't mind getting just a fresh perspective in there completely.
This is aside from the Packer talk, but Austin has to keep his roommates off of Fortnite, because when I hear in Austin, it's like an echo in a canyon and then he's gone. It's like he fell off the cliff and I can't hear him anymore. That's what I get out of his end. So, but I completely agree. I mean, look at the Packers.
This is what you get for $5 Wi-Fi, Trage.
This is what you get. It's fantastic. $5 is fantastic. I mean, you're doing pretty good for $5. I wouldn't complain to that. So definitely good there. But I look at the Packers, like you guys said, historic town. You want to talk about a football town? That's Green Bay. But you want to talk about a team right now that isn't producing on the opposite side? I agree, 100%. You're talking like Rogan did, 11-5 seasons, whatever it is. They're not getting over the top of that. We watch them go 12-3. We've watched 13-3. That's what it was for how many years there with Matt LaFleur. We'd get to an NFC Championship game and lose it. So definitely would not be opposed to a change in leadership there from Mark Murphy. But with that, Austin, what do you got? Sports question of the day.
Yeah, hopefully we can get through this one here. We talked about where our predictions are for the Badgers in the championship, in the tournament there. My question is, how do we think the rest of the season is going to end up with this Badger team here? They just come off of 2 losses this past week. Now they got Michigan, Rutgers twice, Illinois, really good team, ranked 10th. Purdue, again, their last game. Even Iowa seems like a pretty tough game at Iowa. And Ohio State's always a pretty dangerous team there. Where do you guys think that the Badgers are going to end up this season? Because right now they're probably a 3 seed still, but with how they're playing, how they kind of they look decent against Purdue. We talked about that game. Offensively, they struggled. Nebraska defensively, they struggled. Where do we think they're going to end up at the end of this year, conference-wise? Either one can go. Doesn't matter. You guys are pointing fingers right now, and I don't know what to say.
Schedule and I'm looking at the schedule right now, and the one team that nobody's talking about is that Illinois team, ranked 10th now, and obviously now the Badgers are kind of in a hole with the Big Ten conference title and like the race there with Purdue, but they're definitely not out of it. You got a team like Purdue that still has to play Illinois there, still has to play the Badgers, still has to play Michigan State, still has to play in Indiana at Indiana, still has to play Ohio State at Ohio State. So, if the Badgers get hot here, you can't tell me that they couldn't potentially have a winnable game, Purdue last game of the regular season to win the Big Ten championship. So even though they're kind of in a hole, I think they're a game and a half back, they're definitely still in this, especially with the schedule that Purdue has coming up. But likewise, the Badgers got a tough one coming up too. They got 2 games left against Illinois plus a Purdue team last game of the season. So it's going to be no easy stretch by any means.
The game that makes me the most nervous? Michigan. Coming off of these 2 losses, I got to see what comes back out. It's so hard to – basketball is such a hot or cold thing, right? The Badgers went through a cold spell this last week. I got to see how they come out the other side of it. They finally – I don't think I'd have to look back at the complete schedule, but I don't think the Badgers have lost back-to-back games this year No, looking back at the schedule, I don't think they've lost back. Oh, no, they did. Early on, they lost to Tennessee and Providence back-to-back. But other than that, they haven't experienced a losing streak like this. And 2 games that, I mean, you look at the end of the day, it could have went both ways. The Nebraska game, Badgers thought they should have had it, right? They should have had it at the end of the day. Purdue, I mean, a couple threes fall here and there for the Badgers. They might win that game against Purdue at home. And that was a game that slipped out of their grasp there at the end and they couldn't recover. So I want to see what comes out of there. This is a struggling Michigan team. I'm not going to say they should take care of business against Michigan. I'm not saying they shouldn't win that game. But when I look of it at the grand scheme of things, I have to see that game for me to completely say, the Badgers are completely back. Everything's fine. They fine-tuned things in practice after the Purdue game. They're good to go. Everything's good moving on. Because then after Michigan, I believe, are they going to the rack? Yeah, they got to go to the rack and play Rutgers. So you're playing Michigan and then you're going to the rack. And I don't care. You have to go to the Chrysler Center. You're on a road trip now. You're going on 2 away games in a row. Tough to win on the road in the Big Ten. Chrysler Center's tough to win in. It doesn't matter what Michigan's record is. And then the rack is, I mean, at times almost impossible to win at. We remember that team from 2014, 2015. Somewhere in there, Frank Kaminsky got injured. So did Trayvon Jackson. But they went to the rack and they lost to a subpar Rutgers team that year. So, I mean, the rack is hard to win in. So these next 2 games for the Badgers could tell me what the rest of this year is going to look like, because they could easily get themselves, like you were talking there, Rogan, with Purdue. They have a tough schedule coming up too. They have a tough stretch of games coming up too. But these next 2 games for the Badgers could be make or break in the Big Ten race here for the top. They're a game and a half back. They're not even out of it, right? 2 losses in a row. They're not even out of the race. But these next two games could be a deciding factor for the Badgers. I mean, you could say that about any 2 games right here, but coming off of 2 losses, you got to bounce back, and you got to bounce back big on the road in 2 straight games against Rutgers and against Michigan. And I believe they're in a close stretch. You play on Wednesday, and then you play on Saturday. So you don't have much time off in between those 2 games either to get right if something goes wrong. So definitely going to be an interesting stretch here for the Badgers. I mean, anything else to add there, Rogan, with the Badgers? No? Okay, so my Wisconsin sports question, piggybacking off of the Brewers there, kind of what we talked about, but when is the right time for everyone? Because I've seen a lot of people defend Mark Ananasio and this Brewer organization. When is the right time for everyone to stop and say, what the heck is going on with the Brewers right now? Because we've seen this throughout the years here where they make questionable moves or they don't make moves, and it's like, why are we moving this piece? We're not grabbing this cheap piece, or we're grabbing a guy like Luke Voigt from free agency, and it's like, why is Luke Voigt coming? Or Jesse Winker, another guy where it's like, why is Jesse Winker coming to Milwaukee right now? And why is he getting playing time with the Brewers? That was another big question I had. So, I mean, going off of that, when is the time where everybody stops and says, we're mediocre, we've been mediocre, when are we going to do a little bit more to become, a top team again?
Whenever we're able to get money, Trage.
Good enough for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the way they're going now, it's too late to go back all in. So I think I wouldn't mind them I wouldn't mind a rebuild at this point. Like, I don't see this team going anywhere. So at this point, I think you just start trading guys away and starting to rebuild here, because they do have really good young pieces, and you just need to get them playing time. So, and they're not going to get playing time right now with the players that we have taking up positions. So I think today, not today exactly, but I think now is the time to just kind of tear it down and start over, because this team, this whatever mojo that's going on with them, it's just not working right now, and it's time to change it.
And I don't get why they don't sign, like they did with Jackson Churro, why they don't sign some of these younger guys who they know have talent, why they don't sign them to a little bit longer of deals there right off the bat. Not out of the minors like Jackson Churro, nothing crazy like that. But, guys like, say Sal Frelick has a good year this year. Would you sign Sal Frelick to a decent contract then to keep him in Milwaukee and not risk him walking away after a couple of years? I mean, you look at the Atlanta Braves. Ronald Acuna's contract there I don't even know if he's still on it. isn't what Ronald Acuna is currently worth in the MLB. If you look at his contract details, even a guy like Ozzie Albies, they sign guys to small contracts when they're young, and then they blossom as they get, with age and everything like that. They come to full tuition there moving forward. So, I mean, I don't understand why the Brewers don't make deals like that where they sign guys for younger guys for bigger contracts, knowing the talent is there, and we don't have to risk it in the future losing these guys after a few short years here. I mean, that's always a big question I've had with the Brewers too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
I think it comes down to how much money we have in our bank account, Change. And right now, we don't have enough. That is part to Mark Ananasio. Honestly, we might be the Oakland A's athletics soon saying sell the team, because right now
Did you just say the Oakland Orioles?
I'm hungry. I did say the Oakland Orioles. I don't know. I was thinking the Orioles and the Oakland A's. Two things come together.
Did he say he was hungry? Did he say he was hungry? Is that what he said?
What's that, hungry? You'll have it. We talked about this at the beginning. Everybody. I'm a growing boy. I'm a grown little boy, and I'm hungry all the time. But anyways, it comes down to who has the money, and right now Brewers don't have any of it. And we're a small market team. We get that. But honestly, I've never heard of Mark Ananasio. I don't even know who he is or what he does. And that's just plain out what it is. I don't know how he makes his money. But either way, I just don't think we have the money, and this is probably going to be a rebuilding year as what it's looking like.
Mark Ananasio, I just got to mention, but Austin is not a baseball guy, so anybody who just said to themselves, how does this guy not know what Mark Ananasio is, that would be, and the Oakland Orioles, that would be another slap in the face there. But
okay, I know
Austin
who he is. I don't know what he does for a job besides own the Brewers.
Is that what he does? He makes money. He makes money off of the Brewers. Brewers make money. Mark makes money. Everybody's happy.
Okay, you look at Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban owns the Mavs, but he didn't make his wealth do work or owning the Mavs. He had money before that.
It's all off of Shark Tank. He makes it all off of Shark Tank.
I love a good Shark Tank episode, but
let's move on to the Brewers before I lose my mind. Let's get into a little bit of Wisconsin hockey. We haven't been able to talk hockey. Rogan's been gone, and we haven't been able to fully get into it. So last time we tried talking about it, I believe somebody was doing dishes. So we couldn't talk about it then either. So we're going to get into it. Rogan, first looking at this women's hockey team right now, they're sitting at 24-4 on the season. And what we know with this Wisconsin women's hockey team, if they lose one game, they're going to lose the second one after that, and then they're fine. They've lost 2 games in a row, twice this year. Otherwise, this team is phenomenal. 18-4 in conference play. They're on an 11-game win streak right now, 13-1 at home on the season, 11-3 on the road. I mean, you look at this team across the board, they are phenomenal. They played... I'm looking at a couple of the big games they've had here as of late. I mean, on this big win streak they've had, they beat St. Thomas 7-0 there, 5-1. I mean, you're looking through here, Minnesota Duluth, they swept them, swept St. Cloud as of late. They've been rolling. So, I mean, looking at this Wisconsin women's hockey team, what have you been seeing right now? What's the buzz? Tell me the buzz going on in Madison about this team.
No, people, people are excited down here, as they usually are with this women's hockey team. Probably the most underrated and not paid attention to enough team in Wisconsin is this women's hockey team. Like you were saying, you're looking 7 national titles, won 3 out of the last 4 national titles, the defending national champion. And I believe this year they're back up. I think they're at 2 right now, which – like you're saying, they're rolling right now. I believe they're up to 8-9 wins, coming off two wins this weekend against number 10 St. Cloud.
Yes, I believe that
number 10 St. Cloud. And I never paid attention to hockey that much, but I came down to I'm going to school here this year in Madison. I met some of the hockey players, and I kind of started paying attention. And that is one sport that is underrated, is college hockey. And I've been really paying attention to this team this year. And They started off this year really hot, and then they kind of hit a little bit of a funk. Lost some games there. I know one of their star players, KK Harvey, she got hurt and was out for a decent stretch there, but she's back now. And like you said, they're rolling right now, led by Kirsten Sims right there with 49 total points, Casey O'Brien, 46 points, and Brita Curl with 44 points. So, and the one thing I've noticed about this team is they got two really good goalies, one a senior and one a freshman. And right now they've both played 14 games, and they both are averaging the exact same win percentage, which is impressive seeing as one's a senior and one's a freshman. So like you said, this team's rolling right now, and it's exciting to see, and hopefully they carried over into another national championship run here.
I love looking at hockey because there's teams in there that I've never heard of that I hear of when I see these like schedules. Because this team from Minnesota, you might know how to say it because I don't. Bemidji State. It's some beaver on there. I have no idea.
Bemidji State there, Trage.
Bemidji State, sure. I mean, Austin's got me. He's got my back on this one. But I've never heard of them as a college until I just saw this schedule for the women's. And I mean, they played them twice this year, so that's interesting. Lindenwood College from Maryland Heights, never heard of Lindenwood. So, I mean, just a lot of interesting names you see when you start throwing around different sports. So, women's hockey rolling right now, just like the men's hockey team. Getting into them here, pulling up there. It was just loaded, and now it's taking a second on me. It's a tragedy. There we go. Got it up. 20-6 on the season so far, 11-4 in conference play. They are rolling there. They are 10-2 at home, 8-4 on the road so far this year. Right now, they have their streak is sitting at a tie right now because they tied with Minnesota. As of late, they're 1-1. But other than that, this team has been playing great. Minnesota, a great team when Wisconsin faced them. So, I mean, that was a tough contest. They lost in overtime and then tied in that second one. But Rogan, I mean, looking at the men's team, similar to that women's team, phenomenal play right now out of the men's.
Yeah, and that's actually the surprising one out of the two because the last, I'd say, 5 to 8 years for the men's team has not been what the standard was the previous 10, 15 years. But they kind of came in, the athletic director down here cleaned house with the coaching program, brought in a new coach, Mike Hastings, and he has completely turned this team around. And they're ranked 4th right now, but they have multiple wins over the number 1 team. At the time, they're number 1. Multiple wins over the number 2 ranked team and 3 ranked team. So this is a really good team. And like you said, this weekend they were playing Minnesota, and people were excited for that game. I could tell you it was super busy down here. And about the only people that weren't at that game Saturday night were the ones that were setting up their tents outside the Kohl Center for the basketball game the following day. But like you said, they're rolling. And I don't know hockey that well, but so they lost in overtime Friday. They tied Saturday, but technically they won because they won the shootout. It's a really weird thing in hockey. It's really weird. So if you look into that game Saturday, when you read an article about it, it'll actually talk about how the Badgers won, even though technically it's a tie because they gained a point from the game because they won the shootout. So I don't know why they didn't win the game then if they won the shootout.
That's a rule. There's a rule in NHL kind of like that too, where if you win the game flat out, you get like 2 points. If you win it on a shootout, you get 1 point. And then if you don't win, obviously you get 0 points. I think there's something like in the NHL where it's that type of rule also. It's all based on points.
So even though it goes down in the record as a tie, it's technically a win. It's weird, but that Friday night overtime loss was a heck of a hockey game. And it sucks that we lost in overtime, but like you said, Minnesota is a great team in their own respect. So yeah, just a great year for Wisconsin hockey right now.
Well, and you look at the schedule they've had. They played number 7 North Dakota at the time. Then they played number 17 Michigan State back. Then they played number 1 Minnesota. They won both of those games early on this year when Minnesota was ranked number 1. That was in Minnesota that they took both those games. Then they played number 4 Michigan. I'm looking at the Big Ten, and I'm saying there's a lot of good hockey teams in the men's rankings in the Big Ten because Michigan State was sitting at 11 when the men's team faced them. And then number 17 Penn State. They have played a ridiculous schedule full of ranked opponents. So, I mean, looking at that, that's impressive in its own right that this team is sitting there with only 6 losses right now. And I believe that's 2 ties at the end there, 20-6-2. I believe that's 2 ties or whatever you want to call it there. The shootout wins, if that's what it comes down to, I'm not sure. I'm not a hockey guy. I'm not a big hockey guy. I'm trying to get into it a little bit more. I'm more of a basketball
The fights
guy.
are good, Chage. The fights in hockey are entertaining.
I will say that. I have seen a few fights. I saw a fight in person. I was watching one down at in lacrosse. I can't remember what the hockey team is in lacrosse. They're like not a semi-pro, but
Some
kind of
club
like a
hockey,
league
maybe?
hockey team down there. Yep, and I saw a fight there, and then he got tossed, and everybody was screaming at him, and I was screaming at him because I was there, so I had to, and I just was getting into the crowd. So I had a question for Rogan, though. I was thinking about this today. You know, you said yesterday when they were outside this Kohl Center there waiting, they had ice shacks and everything out there. What do they do with the ice shack when they go inside? That was my one question I had. What happens with the ice shack?
So I was actually reading an article today. They posted an article down here about those. I believe there was 20 something fans that camped out overnight, and so apparently they had to actually take the tents home because the cops came and made them take the tents away because apparently it's illegal to have like 13 people in a tent like outside the stadium. Like you can have a couple, but they were going to have like 14 of them in there.
COVID.
Why does it
thing,
become illegal?
I don't know.
COVID
I don't
again.
know. I think the cops were just trying to figure out a way to get them to leave, but the fans made it very, very well known that they were doing nothing illegal. So they had their friends come pick up the tent, and they just kind of camped out in chairs. And yeah, it's an interesting scene down here in Madison right now, Trage.
I just had to grasp that. I was driving today from one job site to another there at work, and I was just thinking about the talk yesterday. And you said about the ice shacks, and I was like, what do they do with the ice shacks? Like, do they carry them in on their backs, and they're just like, I'm going to save a seat for my ice shack here? Like, I was just so confused by that. But moving on here, I want to move on. We're in hockey, so I figured I'd mention them. The Milwaukee Admirals right now, they're 29-10 on the season so far, 59 points on the year. They have a 12-game win streak going on right now. So some impressive play out of pretty much all the hockey teams in Wisconsin right now, talking about the men's and women's in Madison, and also looking at the Milwaukee Admirals, who are 29-10 on the year so far. Some impressive play all the way around there in our ice sports. I'll call them our ice sports. With that, we want to move ice sports. That's what we're going to stick with. So with that, getting into our sports story of the day. I want to get into our sports story of the day. We didn't get into it yesterday. I want to get into it today. So Austin, give me your sports story of the day. What do you got for me?
My sports story of the day is coming out of the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Well, not the Super Bowl. Obviously, that comes on Sunday. But all the events have started, all like the press conferences that they talk to the players. They actually talked to Roger Goodell and asked, this is a legitimate question. They asked him if the NFL is scripted because of Taylor Swift. And he said no. He said no, it isn't. Why would it be scripted? Blah blah blah. But he went really hard into defending that it isn't scripted, which makes me think that it actually is scripted. Because obviously, when someone defends something super hard, there's got to be a lie in there somewhere, right? Definitely. So he definitely something's fishy there with him defending it so hard. But also, NFL is a pretty big name. But it was a lot of, why would the NFL be scripted? It's just two young people in love, blah, blah, blah. Taylor obviously brings a lot of buzz to the NFL, but apparently the NFL is not scripted. But funny how people actually asked the commissioner that if the NFL is scripted because of Taylor Swift coming to the Super Bowl and all that stuff.
I don't think it's scripted. I believe that you can throw games with the reffing. I think refs can throw games. I completely agree with that one. I don't think at the end of the day that the NFL is writing a script and saying, Matt Ryan, you're going to go up 28-3 at the half, and then Tom Brady is going to come all the way back and beat you. I don't think it's scripted to that point. I really don't think Lamar Jackson didn't want to lose another playoff game. I really don't think Josh Allen wanted to tick off Bills Mafia again and lose a playoff game. So, I don't think it's scripted that far. I think you have to defend it as an owner. You have to defend it as hard as you can, simply because a lot of people are asking if it's scripted. it definitely at times seems like it's a storybook ending a lot of times. So definitely interesting there on that sports story of the day. Rogan, what do you think? Is it scripted or not?
Yeah, it's scripted. It's scripted. I just look at this right now, and the Chiefs sucked all year long, man. They sucked. They were horrible, and now all of a sudden their wide receivers are just snagging everything. You got MVS out here mossing cornerbacks.
It's
Like,
because
come on, you've
Kadarius
seen
Tony isn't
MVS.
playing there, Rogan.
I heard Tony's on the Super Bowl roster. I heard they brought him back. I heard he's going to be out there.
Oh, they're screwed then.
Oh, lose then. That would be great.
They're accepting defeat. I
He's
think that's
running
what's
down
going
the
on.
field and just drops a tutty.
Lines up off sides.
We all know MVS is a playoff performer, though. I mean, come on. That's his biggest catches of his life for the playoffs,
2 of them.
right?
There's only 2 catches in the whole postseason that came in those 2 games right there. To clinch the game.
Come on. Everybody wanted to see the Packers and the Texans in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, end of the day, could it really be scripted if that's what the people wanted? I mean, come on.
I wouldn't have mind Joe Flacco going all the way, personally, but some of us have different opinions.
Different opinions on it. So, getting off of that, getting to Rogan here. Rogan, sports story of the day. What do you got for me?
All right, boys. This one's kind of a day late, but I'm kind of an F1 guy. I watched a little bit of F1. I don't know if you guys watch a lot, but big news in F1, I think a day and a half ago now, Lewis Hamilton leaving Mercedes to go to Ferrari. So if you guys aren't really that big into F1, this is like pretty much the Tom Brady of F1 leaving the Patriots to go to – imagine Tom Brady leaving the Patriots to go to the Jets. This is the kind of move that this is for F1. Lewis Hamilton, obviously, considered probably the greatest F1 racer of all time. 7 championships there with Mercedes, but they've kind of had a struggle the last couple of years, and you got Red Bull with Max Verstappen just kind of dominating the last 2 years. So he's moving to Ferrari, which when you think racing, everybody thinks Ferrari. So that was his explanation for switching over to Ferrari. But I don't know if you guys pay attention a lot, but that is really big news in the F1 world. So hopefully there's a few listeners out there that pay attention to F1. It's a great sport.
I've watched truck racing before. I'll give you that one. I've watched truck racing. I can't handle – if I watch NASCAR, I watch it to fall asleep. I got to be honest. I watch it to fall asleep. Because if I watch from lap 1, by the time I wake up from my nap, it is about lap whatever, and there's only 3 laps to go, and then I can watch the rest of the race. I mean, it's a fantastic sport to nap to. It's kind of like golf. I can watch golf beginning to end, but I can nap during the middle. And at the end, I'm like, whoa, Tiger Woods is going to win the Masters. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at right now. So, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I like tracks where guys have to make more strategic moves. I think that's more F1, where they have to make strategic turns and everything like that.
A lot more
Whereas
turns.
NASCAR is just like, make a left turn, make a left turn, make a left turn. I agree. I'm all in for that one. NASCAR, left turn, can't handle it.
The race is a lot shorter, so you have to be really aggressive. That's why I'm telling you guys, sit down and watch a show called Drive to Survive, and you guys will instantly become F1 fans.
Too bad all the F1 races are in like Europe or something, because then they're at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning. It's like not staying up for that. I'll tell you that much.
Is it kind of like the movie Gran Torino? Because I like the movie Gran Torino.
Yes. Yeah, I'm telling you, you got to watch some F1, man. It's amazing.
If it's like Gran Torino, I'll love it. I watched Gran Torino like 14 times straight one time.
I've never seen Gran Torino, so
just kept watching it through and through.
Yeah, it's literally just like that. It's Gran Torino. Yep.
Austin, you have to watch Gran Torino to understand life. So
give me a little
with
something.
that, I'm going to get to my stories of the day. Not even sports related. I guess you could talk about it, but I mean, okay. So I was looking through Instagram today, and I saw a story of a guy who eats raw chicken every day until he gets his tummy ache. That's what it said. So this guy apparently goes by the name John. Every day he'll eat raw chicken. That's it, raw chicken until he gets a tummy ache. He'll force himself to the tummy ache, and he's apparently still alive. So I thought that was impressive. Also, a guy in Turkey, apparently, he got drunk, got lost. There was a search party that was sent out for him. he joined the search party looking for the missing guy. And later, after hours of searching, he realized that he was the guy who was being searched for. So the search party was looking for this guy and apparently didn't really know who they were looking for because they were with this guy as he was searching for him. So I thought that was definitely interesting stories right there to share on the podcast.
Okay, number one.
I don't even know what to say, Trey.
I'll talk for you, Rogan. Number one, the chicken guy. The chicken guy, he has to have like what's that word called? Salmonella? Something like that. I don't know what that is. Something from chicken. And I don't know why he would do that. Eat raw chicken till he throws up. Last time I checked, you have to cook that thing to 165 degrees Fahrenheit on the inside for it to be edible. Number two, that problem in Turkey is a lot more entertaining than whatever we're doing here in the United States, because imagine you're looking for yourself and you don't even realize it. You're one of the people in the search bar. You turn around like, wait a minute, this guy kind of looks familiar. Do they not use the poster tactic anymore, where they stick up, we're looking for this person, like a cat or a dog?
Did nobody get a picture?
Like, no one has a picture of this guy they're looking for. Next thing you know, he's right to your right.
Did nobody get a picture of this guy? Yeah, exactly.
Like, come on,
exactly.
Turkey, I mean,
did nobody get a picture of this guy to say like, did nobody get a picture of this guy to say like, this is the guy we're looking for? Who are they? I mean, realistically, when you send out a search party, are you looking for, like, who are you looking for? You got to have a picture of somebody to know where you're looking for. And this guy, I mean, that was just something completely ridiculous. I couldn't even believe when I read it.
Hey, we never said they were bright in Turkey, you know? Their name is Turkey, and we eat that for Thanksgiving. So,
but I definitely do love me some turkey. So, end of the day, good people.
Back to the food.
So we gotta get Austin some food here. So with that, that's about all we got for today. We talked about a lot. We got more to get back into tomorrow here. Definitely gonna have more interesting Wisconsin sports news. So with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow. But until then, deuces.